And we are live. Welcome to episode 3 of Los Tres Caballeros. Right now, there are just 2 of the Caballeros. Ozzy's still doing Chilean things, but
He'll be
can't
coming
blame him.
someday.
He'll be someday.
Hopefully.
He'll sometime we'll manage to get him off the boat and bring him back. So how you been, man?
Fine. What about you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Just it's pretty hot here. It's like 25 degrees, so we're all sweating and complaining. I'm loving it, but everyone else hates it.
Yeah, the weather here has been crazy too. Yeah, it's something we say here. Welcome to Aguascalientes. You don't like the weather? Come in. Return in 5 minutes. Yeah.
No, but yeah, that's an interesting name for a state, though. Aguas Calientes. I mean, it's just hot water.
Yep. Well, it's.
I mean, so everyone's in hot water. I mean, like there's that phrase here we have, like, you're in hot water now. You're in trouble. So I
Yeah.
mean, everyone's literally in Aguas Calientes.
Yes.
But it could be worse. We could be in Chile.
Yeah. Well, it's called the. Well, it was founded as the village of Our Lady of the Hot Waters.
That sounds. It sounds. It sounds like the start of some sort of video that might get us banned off YouTube.
Indeed.
You can just hear You can just hear the bow chicka wow music start up.
Yeah, and I think we'll be talking about bannings in social media today.
We have. I mean, it's been an interesting couple of days. Gavin McGinnis is gone. Milo Yiannopoulos is gone. Sargon's been gone for like a year. And then Jack. I'm sorry.
Alex Jones is gone from everywhere except for Twitter.
That's coming though. He's gonna get that one because I don't even want to understand the Ballad of Alex Jones. I mean, it's a corrido that I just really can't seem to get when I listen to it. I listen to the story of Alex Jones.
Yeah, I mean, he's not my particular cup of tea, and I think that he, well,
I think he's insane.
Yeah, totally, and that will be the word. But I mean, it's like they, well, the crazy guy in the public square. You just don't disappear him when he mess with people. Well, when he's talking his thing. So you left him and that would be what I do. Let him be and let the truth fall. No, let his lies fall for its own weight.
Yeah, I agree with you there. He's. I find him entertaining, and that's about it. I mean, I can't really say that I listen to anything he says. I mean, especially since the frogs thing. That yeah, he's turning the frogs are turning gay, and he's tearing off his shirt. I mean, the only time I liked him was when Jimmy Dore spit in his face at the, I think it was I don't know if it was the Republican convention or the Democrat one.
Yeah, it was at the GOP convention in Cleveland.
Yeah, that was spitting Jimmy Dore. That was a good time.
Yeah, and well, I think he overstepped I mean I don't like either the Young Turks, and I think he shouldn't have done that. Coming into their set and start doing his thing with the.
Well, I mean, he's an irritant, and that's what he is. I mean, he's
A showman.
Well, that's what he claims to be. The jury's still out on that because his lawyer, like, he's getting sued, Well, he's been sued so many times. I mean, I wish I was his lawyer because I'd just be making a fortune off just him. I wouldn't need any other clients. I just wake up one morning, be like, look at my phone. Oh, Alex is getting sued again. Another $15,000 in the bank. But they say that he's a character, you know, that because he was getting divorced, and during which I can't even believe someone would marry Alex. That's
Well, you know, as we say here, God creates them and they come together.
liquor must have been involved in that decision, but or whatever it was that was in the water that was that was messing with the frogs. But I don't know. But I mean, the thing about what Alex said, they say that it's a character that he plays, but if it is, he's really into it. I mean, that is one hell of a method act. I mean, that's an Emmy. Right there. I mean, the shirts and the incidents, and then the Sandy Hook thing, that was actually why I don't particularly like him. I mean, he made up conspiracy theories about a shooting involving kids.
Yeah, he is that one. He really overstepped. Like people having to change home many times because he was like chasing them and going after them, and you know, like almost torturing them for a confession.
Well, he was, and I mean that's him, and the courts will handle this. I mean, that's why we have the justice system, and not having somebody executing them.
Yes.
But now we've got a new thing that has arisen outside of Alex Jones, and that is what's going on in Venezuela. We are supposed to have a guest come on. Unfortunately, they're a little bit tied up, so we're fingers crossed they should be here pretty soon. But they are Venezuelan, and therefore it's understandable considering the absolute hell that their country is now in. So we can kind of cut them a little bit of slack. But now they've pegged their currency to the petro. A non-existent government's created Bitcoin that no one else uses elsewhere in the world except in Venezuela. And I've spoken to friends who are economists, and they said this has never happened, and it's pretty much suicidal because you have no hard currency to back it up against. So I mean, if somebody was a hacker and decided to destroy the Bitcoins, or however they do it, I'm not a computer guy. I can barely make this laptop work even with easy setup, but I'm pretty sure that would ruin the economy, which is pretty hard to do considering Venezuela is essentially screwed now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against cryptocurrency. It's I think it's the next step forward in economics. I have a little investment in there. It has gone down these past months. I mean, at the end of last year, at the start of this year, it went up like really. It got to the Bitcoin, Ripple, Ether. Some of those currencies got to their record high value.
Yeah.
But since then they have come down a lot. Like they were almost over, like I say, to let me make the counts. It was over easily at $1,000, and I think it reached over $2,000, and they went down. I mean, it's economics, and it's rule and well, cryptocurrency is ruled by the law of supply and demand, and well, it's the natural turn of events. So
Oh, it is. I mean, I generally it's a stock essentially. I mean, it's essentially like have owning shares in a company. Um, I almost ended up getting shares in Petrobras back before the whole scandal with Dima Rousseff and Lula and everything.
yeah,
I'm glad I didn't buy it. I had a friend who spent like 10 grand in shares and thought he was going to make it rich, and then it collapsed.
yeah,
And then
uh,
Dima's going to prison.
oh yeah, Lula is also going to well is
Well, he
already in
is.
prison.
They
Yeah,
here they want to free him. In Canada, they've had like one or two demonstrations in Ottawa to get the Canadian government to pressure the Brazilians to let him out. Um, they don't seem to realize what Odebrecht is, and they really don't want to. They don't want to be. I've tried to explain to people like he's in prison not because he's a socialist, but because he's a crook. And I'm sorry to tell you, most left Latin American leaders are generally crooks, and most of the right ones. But the right ones are a little more, they're a little more open about being crooks.
yeah. Well, these people now. This case of Odebrecht is another really interesting topic, and I think we in the future we could you know um, dedicate an episode to explain what it was and the ramifications of it. I mean, it's bringing down all the left wing presidents from South America that are going well.
But yeah, it got Correa. He's going
Correa,
down for it. Well, once
Maduro.
he if he well Maduro he's probably gonna end up shot.
Yeah,
I never wish that on anyone, but except him.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, Lula and Dilma.
and you've got I've got to use mine, and I know if Ozzy was here, he'd roll his eyes, but I've got to use Peru. You've got let me see, yeah, there's so many of them. Toledo, possibly Keiko Fujimori. Well, she's not a president, but she might be soon. You've got Alan Garcia, who. Hmm?
Kuczynski.
Well, Kuczynski was Odebrecht, kind of. He went down because he got Keiko's brother to try to buy votes to get him not impeached over the Odebrecht scandal. But he actually received a lot of money. Well, not a lot of money if you look at the Latin American scale of things. Kuczynski got like 700 grand from Odebrecht, which I mean, it's a lot of money. I mean, if somebody wants to give me $700,000, cool.
Yeah,
But I think like Correa got like a couple of mil, so it's pretty good.
yeah. It's been that case has been really ground shaking event down here, and I think depending how things go, this with Lopez Obrador, we'll see in Mexico people biting the dust over it.
Has Odebrecht actually had any business dealings in Mexico?
It seems so. Yeah, they're investigating people about it, and but
Guys
and
are a little late to the party.
yeah, well, it wasn't and it wasn't until recently, and it's been like swept under the rug, much of it, and so I think that this if this explodes here, it will be because some journalist will probably publish some throat bump in a major outlet here in Mexico, and I think he's going to back that publication in another, maybe the New York Times or or the Washington Post, something really big to cover his back. Or,
Oh yeah, I mean, it seems like he's been pretty busy for someone who hasn't even assumed the office yet. Um, he's been generating some waves, but I mean, right quick. I mean, we should probably just try to finish up the Petro,
indeed.
and then maybe when if our guest gets on here, we can get their perspective on it, because what she's been telling me is it's pretty frightening, to be honest. I'm seriously worried for a lot of friends of mine down there, because they have created this, and I'm just going on Wikipedia, and it goes about what a petro is, and it just says, the petro or petromoneda launched in February 2018. So I mean, it's quite a new cryptocurrency. Is developed by the government of Venezuela. It's claimed to be backed by the country's oil and mineral reserves, which are pretty much worth nothing now because of the massive debt that the country's in, and they have to give away their oil to pay off the debts, and it's not even enough to pay off the debts. So
there's a problem with the Venezuelan oil in the regard that from in their constitution says that it can be used to guarantee any obligation of the government. In this case, it's been used as a guarantee of the petro. So they are now breaking their own rules.
Well, yes. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't use it to back the Boulevard, which, I mean, we joked about this off screen. I mean, the funny thing is that the name of their currency officially is the Bolivar Fuerte, the strong Bolivar.
Yeah.
And I mean, it might be strong if I want to build like a pillow fort out of bolivars. That which, I mean, is quite possible. I mean, with building a fortress of bolivar bills, it will probably buy you like a loaf of bread.
Yeah, and all you need is a week's work to get that, then enough to be a fort.
Well, I mean, now they've raised the minimum wage. I think it's to like $30 an hour or $30 a month, which, from what I've been told, is going to shut down about half the businesses in Venezuela because they can't afford to pay their employees now. Mm-hmm. And when you say to most people around here, like I was talking to a local coffee shop owner, it is. Oh, actually, our guest is about to come on.
Oh,
she's just messaged me there, so we will wait for her to pop in very quickly. Anything else exciting happen around there lately? Besides the airport thing.
Aside of the airport, there's another project that López Obrador has been talking about, the transpeninsular train in Yucatan. It's another pharaonic endeavor for him.
Seems kind of anachronistic. We've already kind of done the whole iron rails thing. I mean, the Americans and the Canadians are kind of about 150 years ahead of you.
Yeah, we have I can explain you the history of this. I mean, Mexico was probably the first country in Latin America to be covered by railways from top to bottom. And we have two big I forgot the name of the main card, the one in the engine card. We have a big an important workshop for engine cars here in Aguascalientes. It's abandoned now. I mean, trains are disappearing. Lázaro Cárdenas actually was the one who.
Your favorite Mexican president.
Oh yeah, that fucker. Yeah, he estatized. Well, he appropriated for the state the railways, and it has been disappearing. We have like three important trains now. Well, and I don't mean like that important. We have what is called the Beast, La Bestia. It goes from the southern border, from Chiapas, all the way to the United States. So it's packed with illegal migrants. We have the tequila train. It's actually this one is touristic. It gives you, well, it takes you from, in a tour of some tequila distilleries.
Oh, tequila train. I thought you said kilo train. I thought it was like some kind of like narco, like the National Narco Railway.
No, this is
Climb on and snort up.
yeah. You can trip while you're tripping. No, this is a touristical attraction, totally. The tequila train, and there's another called the Chepe, another touristic train that takes you through the mountains of Chihuahua, Barranca del Cobre, and some other places, the Sierra Tarahumara, and this is trains. I mean, they have gone, they are, and they have been, totally, almost totally, mm, left without use. Only the Beast. It's the only uh, commercial industrial train that still goes on, and also this supposedly this new transpeninsular train. It's it's it will be made so they can move tourists around the Yucatan Peninsula. This peninsula is like a square.
Yeah.
So it will be going around the peninsula, Cancun, Merida, um, Campeche, and it will finish in Palenque. It's a city um in Chiapas, in north of Chiapas, where casually this guy Lopez Obrador has a ranch. So
well, everyone gets to go by and watch it and wave at him like he's some kind of weird version of Mexica in Uruguay. And here
Hi.
is our friend Deborah.
Hello.
How are you, Deborah?
Well, I'm fine today, even though I have to make a long line today at the supermarket, just like yesterday.
That had no food.
Well, it has some food, but not the best food that you will actually like to buy.
Fun times in Venezuela as usual. For everyone who doesn't know Deborah, she's been on my own private podcast a few times. We've discussed the medical system in Venezuela. Got to give myself a little shout out for that one. And is a good friend of mine. And Deborah, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. Let's what's going on with this Petro thing?
Well, I don't know if you are aware that one of the recent measurements that our government took to fight hyperinflation was taking 5 zeros out of our currency, the bolivar, and supposedly it's a way to fight inflation, but it's actually a way to make up the high prices. And funnily, most stores and markets just can't put those prices on food because there are too much zeros and they don't fit in tax. So it was something that it was going to happen eventually. And the main thing that I think it's implemented, it was because our gasoline, it's really cheap, and it's a way for them to increase the prices of gasoline. So it's not surprising.
Yeah, we did that in Mexico like 25 years ago, taking like we took 3 zeros from the peso, and well, as you say, it's only to take make accounting easily. It's not like something to fight inflation per se.
Yeah, it's like, well, look at our prices. We fix the issue and just look how we resolve the issue. And well, if you're someone who isn't aware how economy works, then it might be a solution for you, but it is clearly not, because what I was telling my family the other day is that many of us actually survive by doing other stuff. I don't practice medicine anymore, because if I did, I will starve. And many of us depend on freelancing and other stuff, charging for our services in dollars. Like, I'm a freelance writer, and my sister is a graphic designer, and we make some income in American dollars. It's not much, but it's enough to survive. And nowadays, even if you have an steady income in American dollars, it won't be enough, because if you exchange your the dollars for bolivares, it just won't be enough. You have to like exchange $100 a week just to survive. And when I was working as a doctor, my salary was like $2 a month, and I could only buy like one tomato sauce with that. And
Oh,
now that supposedly the wages are fixed to the petro, that it's like $30, I think. That means that the parallel dollar market is now official, because, well, yesterday was like 6 million bolivars. Today, I think it's like 10 million uh, bolivares per dollar. So that means that one 100. I don't even remember how much he put the wage, but it's like $30. Now,
mm,
as a tomato sauce will cost $30, because our minimum wage could only buy tomato sauce. So companies will have to get rid of people. And I don't know how the public system is going to maintain itself, because working as a doctor in the public and private system, I barely made like two or $3 or $5 a month. It's absurd.
It,
no.
it, it is, especially when you have a currency that is literally called the strong bolivar, the bolivar fuerte. Um, or did they change that now? Because I'm looking at Twitter,
It's
and
bolívares soberanos now, like
the
sovereign bolivar.
and it's saying that el billete de 1,000 bolívares actuales es equivalente a 0,01 un céntimo de bolívar soberano co-circulara con el nuevo cono monetario. So I mean, they're going to be circulating useless money in a new monetary cone, which I honestly don't know what any of that means, but it sounds stupid.
Well, it means that you are able to use all banknotes along with the new ones, and that happened, like, I know, maybe like 10 years ago, when the Bolivar was changed to Bolivar Fuerte, when 3 zeros were axed from the currency. And for some months, old banknotes existed along with the new ones. What actually didn't happen at that time is that today we have a shortage of banknotes. You won't find physical money anywhere unless you are, I don't know, I don't know who are the kind of people who have that, because decent people don't.
I don't know how you can carry around that much money. I mean, like I was saying to Eduardo earlier, I mean, I can probably build a fort out of bolivars.
I've seen pictures of people in Caracas with like strolls of money. I don't know how they do it. And there wasn't a problem paying gas because the amount was so minimal that you wouldn't actually notice how much money you were actually spending. But now I think that the gasoline is going to be charged like $1, maybe 5 million, 6 million, 10 million bolivares. I don't know, or in the new denomination that's like 5 zeros less. I haven't get used to it yet. So imagine old people. I don't know how are they going to do. My mom gets confused all the time, and people were protesting today near where I live. It was a lame protest, but it was a protest. And right now, I think this is actually the beginning of the end. O sea, the beginning of the end, not just any beginning, just the beginning.
Yes. Well, as Ernest said earlier, also that and also me, are expecting, to this situation comes to an end, and I hope, certainly, I hope that the Venezuela recovers someday from this government, and I hope Mexico doesn't go that further in the rabbit hole as it seems it will go for the next 6 years or more, maybe more.
Well, I don't think the situation is going to replicate itself in any other Latin American country, because people are actually afraid that it will happen to their countries. And the process that we actually had, it's one that it's been for 20 or more years. And contrary to the popular belief, people think that this problem started with Chavismo, but it's actually I don't know. It started before that, and Chavismo was the consequence of those problems that were happening, and that this was inevitable. So I don't think it's going to happen. Venezuela is a cautionary tale, and no other country will actually go through this anymore. But
Well, Zimbabwe kind of did.
well, as of today, I've lost all hope, and I feel like I'm on the Titanic, and I'm like the last musician playing the piano there, waiting for death, and all my friends just escape, and I'm here like sitting. Everything is fine, and my kitchen is burning.
Like the yeah, everything's
With
fine.
everything is great. I mean, I can't really say that we have it rough here in Canada. The only thing I have to worry about is statues being pulled down because 150 years ago the leaders were assholes.
Man, you have
Um,
running water every day. I haven't had running water like since November, and it's a torture. I mean, it's psychological torture. And people in Maracaibo, and another city here in Venezuela, they don't have like powers energy like electricity. I don't know, for like 1 or 2 months. That people is going to go crazy because Maracaibo is extremely hot. It's like hell, and they're dying. Poor people.
Oh god.
and how did the rest of South America respond? They have imposed visa restrictions.
They don't care.
Um,
They
well,
don't care.
Peru's packed. I mean, that's. I mean, I sympathize, as you know, Deborah. I mean, I've been pretty vocal against the Maduro regime, like here and like when I was in South America. I've almost
You
been
know,
beaten up twice doing it.
I understand how other Latin American people feel about us, but it's kind of like something that actually happened before, because on mass migrations, many other South American people came to Venezuela, and even if they were treated nicely and everything, there was like this underlying racism or xenophobia, and it's something that is always going to happen in Latin America. There's this big myth of Latin American union and brotherhood, but that's bullshit. Let's all face it. Nobody likes migrants unless they're European and blonde and German. But because if you're not, then you're shit.
In that, so go on, Eduardo.
I was going to say that, generally speaking, here in Mexico, our experience with South American migrants has been good. Actually, the only people that we are actually wary of from down south is people from Central America, those people, and the Caribbean. But as Pablo has said in the first episode, Haitians have actually mm, have been doing a good job assimilating in Chile, and I met here people from Venezuela, from Colombia, and Chile, Argentina. It's people that actually it gets to incorporate to the society, to the country they are coming to, and I think they are nice people.
Oh yeah. I mean, oh sorry, go on.
And also that, um, well, we have some months ago that the government was people from Venezuela that even were coming here on businesses. Like, here's my working visa, and the reunion I have to attend. They gave documentary proof of what they're going to do. The government started sending them back to Venezuela, and people was some people was outraged here. I feel a little disappointed, but well, I've stated before uh, that migratory politics of any country are total decision of them, and
They
Yeah,
have
I
to be
am.
respected, unfortunately.
I don't like it, but we have to I have to abide by.
Well,
You know,
oh sorry.
I think that one of the problems is that many countries have allowed that that people enter their borders without passport. Man, that's stupid.
Yeah.
How can that happen? I don't understand. I had the opportunity to leave the country and not getting a passport, and I think that's stupid. That's stupid. I did all my papers. I'm going to migrate legally, and it took me a full year. It took me tears, blood, money. Yeah, blood, money, and a lot of effort. A lot of effort, and I did it. I know people are desperate, but if you are going to enter a new country, you have to assimilate. Like you said, you have to get into the customs of other people. You can replicate what you were doing in your own country. You have to be like, I don't know, a contributing member of society, because I don't know, maybe one day Venezuela is going to fix, and you if you want to return, because I would like to, you need to have to take those things that you learn from the other country to make your own country better. You can expect to do whatever you want. Like, I know it happened in Brazil that some Venezuelans, I think they lynch a guy. I don't know exactly what happened, but it has happened in Europe too, with the migrants from Africa, and I think
It's
it,
happening in Canada.
it's insulting,
Um,
it's stupid, it's absurd. I mean, it's
well,
disrespectful.
well, what they're doing now here is they're taking down statues of our first prime minister, and then they're naming public parks after foreign leaders. Like they just named one after the founder of Pakistan, who pretty
Uh,
much started a religious and racial tension between the Pakistanis and Indians that has resulted in lots of dying.
Yeah.
But we're just going to take down the statue of the guy who helped found Canada, which, I mean, for all its faults, is a pretty good country to be in. Generally, unless you're from Newfoundland, because but no, like I can only give you to actually of that joke. I can only really say from what I've heard from Peruvian friends, and as everyone knows here, I'm in constant contact down there, considering that I'm probably going to end up living there. Yay! So what they mostly have a problem with is that because of the unchecked immigration, the crime has skyrocketed.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunately a lot of the whole high-profile crimes. There's a few big robberies that were done by Venezuelans, some of which, from what I've heard from sources that cannot be named, are also members of Sabine, or the Bolivarian Intelligence Service, who are now robbing banks in South America to send back to Venezuela.
And even big like mafias and stuff. I don't know if you heard the case of El Tren de Aragua. That's like a criminal band from one state called Aragua. How the fuck did they get there? How the fuck do they get passport? Well, they don't probably have passport. Do you know how difficult it is to get a passport? How those people get out from Venezuela? Then you see that there's no border control. And if I, like a good citizen, wants to, get on a plane and with my bags and everything, people here are bribed to actually get out, and they ask for money and stuff, and that's the kind of stuff that happens, and it's absurd.
It is, and I mean now the price is being paid because I mean like I'll just go back to Peru again. My friends are all rejoicing. Like I've talked to like probably 5 or 6 Peruvians lately. I'm just like, how do you feel about what your government's going to do to the Venezuelan migrants? And they're like, good. They're like, we want to get rid of these people because they come in, they're disrespectful. I've heard they're racist. They're disrespectful to the women. They mock them. There's videos circulating of them like insulting like Peruvian culture and customs. And so I mean, when you get things like that, and I mean, generally South American opinion is easily swayed because I mean there's not a lot of people with significant levels of education. So I mean, it only takes like a video or two to change an opinion.
Yeah, because it's uncontrolled migration. I mean, everything is going to get out because you can say that all Peruvians are saints or all Argentinians are saints. There's bad people everywhere, but if the politics are too soft to bland or too easy to skip, then all the trash is going to get out and enter other countries. I do think that there needs to be visas and control and everything. Okay, it needs to be accessible and everything, but the countries are in all of their, they if they want to apply those politics, well, they can and they should.
Well, and they have. I mean, Ecuador is putting in the visas, and they're even revoking them now. Peru hasn't revoked anyone's yet, but they're going to make it a lot harder and a lot more expensive, which is a problem for several friends I know who are Venezuelan who are living in Ecuador, because they've got to go now, and then they have to go to Peru because Peru is easy to get into, and now it's not. So they're messaging me. They're like, Ernest, what do we do? How are we going to fix this? I mean, can we bribe somebody? Do you know someone I can pay? No. Go to Chile.
No, don't say that. Go to whatever they want, but don't go to Chile, Argentina, or Uruguay. Nope.
Well,
Go
okay.
back
Well,
to
I just.
Well,
if you're going to be a shitty citizen or an asshole, go back to your country. I mean, do it. You're going to put us all like in a bad image to the world. Don't do it.
yeah, well.
Nicolas Maduro's done a good job of that already.
Yeah.
Well, you're kind of right.
But I mean, so this petro is. Does anyone really use it besides the government of
No,
Venezuela?
no. I think it doesn't exist actually, because other countries actually prohibited, doing transactions with petro, and I actually think it doesn't exist.
You think it's just like a scam, kind of, or something to get people's money?
Like a Ponzi scheme.
Well, that makes sense considering it's socialism. They're not exactly the best thinkers of schemes. Um, so you've gotten rid of the Bolivar Fuerte. You've got the Bolivar Soberano now, which is the stupidest. I'm sorry, but it's the stupidest name for a currency I've ever heard. And now you're backing it up against imaginary money.
My question was always like, where do they get the money? I don't
Apparently,
understand.
it's tied to the. Apparently, it's backed by the oil and mineral reserves of Venezuela.
Yeah, supposedly, but I don't know. I don't think I can actually believe that, because the price of oil, it's
Uh,
actually gotten lower.
yeah, and well, the world has moved from the, the what it's called the gold standard or
Gold
silver
standard.
standard. Yeah, from to the system or the trusting system that you supposedly have the resources to pay the bill, well the bill of the your oh sorry, to pay what is in the bill. But it's not necessarily like before. You could go to, for example, the central bank with your $3, $5 bill and said, "I want this cash in gold." No, it's that doesn't work anymore. And I don't think you could go to Venezuela's government and say, I want all this petro cashed in oil or in gas or gold or diamonds,
Well,
whatever."
I don't know if you are actually aware that at least we as citizens, we can't actually access to other currencies, not legally. I mean, I can go to a bank and tell them, well, exchange my 2 bolívares for 0.1 dollar or something like that. I can't do that, and that's actually one of the biggest problems here that we have with our economy.
Yeah, I,
And
I heard of it. Yeah, that they are blocking foreign currencies.
yeah, I think that has happened like for, I don't know, maybe 10, 20, uh, like 12 years as of today, maybe.
It's well, I don't know. The writing was on the writing was on the wall already for that. That was one of the things that brought the Spanish Empire down. They decided that nobody could take any piece of gold outside the borders of the empire, and well, eventually that hit them in their pockets, and well, the rest is history. It's it's complicated. I mean, I not I don't consider myself an economist or something like that. I understand a little of it, but I don't think well, I don't trust oversimplification when people oversimplifies the numbers or the issues with the economics. It's simply just done that easy.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a scary situation.
I had to go for a
Um,
second. Now I'm back.
oh,
Oh,
but yeah, it's a pretty bad situation, and I mean, like I imagine there's a lot of panic. Like I mean, I imagine when this announcement was made, people freaked out.
Oh yeah, people are freaked out. You just look at the supermarkets.
speaking of which, I just came across this tweet from Orwell and Good. I'll post it in the chat here and in this other chat. Maybe it's about an article from the Mail Online about the number of bills of bolivares that you need to buy some things in there.
I saw it, and I think that's actually outdated. I think there's more needed, and many of those banknotes were actually recalled, and you can use them
Oof.
uh,
Oof.
like the 500 bolivares, yeah, in 1,000. I think those two are like you're dead.
Well, they oversimplified. Well, they oversimplified the problem. I mean, and it's a point you can go with euphemisms in like this in this the situation Venezuela is now, and they actually managed to euphemize the situation there. Wow.
Yeah, it's difficult to explain it to people who is outside, and even to other Venezuelans who migrated. They won't understand the situation sometimes. I don't understand it, and there's no way that people can understand what we are going through here, and they just say, well, just revolt. No, we won't revolt anymore because that happened, people got killed, and we backup from the international community, and politicians, the opposition politicians, didn't care, just treated like protest and march like there were, I don't know, dancing sessions. There's actually a running joke on that, like bailoterapias and stuff. And people got disappointed, and everyone like uh, threw their towel, tiraron la toalla, and they don't want to try anymore. And some people from other countries say, well, you're just cowards, and you're cowards, and you don't care anymore about your country. But when you're starving and your family is dying, who's going to care about the goddamn country? You just want to get out and help your family.
No, and that's just true. I mean, I can't argue with that logic. Um, I'm every time I try to look into more into Venezuela, like I mean, it's really hard to understand, um, and to comprehend because I mean, it's just a terrifying situation. Um, it's, but I mean, at least you could beat somebody to death with that giant like bowl of like that giant amount of bolivars there that was in the chat, like to buy the turkey or the chicken. I mean, it looks like a wall that they use to test the cars, like crash test,
You know that
and it could.
I actually have seen, I don't know if you have seen that in Peru. I don't know if that exists, but there's people who take care of cars in parking lots and stuff. You
Hmm.
know,
Here
uh,
Yeah,
too.
that probably exists on Mexico. I doubt that
Yes.
exists in Canada, but I've seen money, piles of money, uh, shred money, banknotes on the floor that when people, return to their cars and are going to go to other place, like the guy who takes care of the car, he asked for money, and you gave him the money, and if the denomination of the banknotes it's too low for them, they just take it and rip it in your face. I've seen it, and the other day I was like I was doing a line to get some papers. You have to do lines here for everything, and I was in a line to get my some papers of mine, legal papers, and I saw like a bunch of money, ripped money on the street, and I was like, oh my god, people are so ungrateful.
and all I've got is this 50 soul note. I can't bear myself to tear it though. It's got a man with those little wire rimmed glasses.
How
Plus,
can
this
you
can
rip
buy.
money? How can you rip money? That's
Why
horrible.
would I rip this? This is no. I would never rip this. This is 5 meal. This is 5 breakfasts in Lima. I'm not going to rip 5 breakfasts.
You know,
Um,
when I get out of here, I think, what the fuck am I going to do with banknotes? You know, how do you use them? I don't know how to count money anymore.
I'd just start hoarding gold. I would just become some kind of like strange prospector hermit and just live up in the mountain and just like guard my gold. And in
Yeah,
case like anything happened again, you just be like, I am ready for this. And you go to your gold bunker and you
I
just
will
kind of
totally
scoop
do
and
that.
walk around it.
I will totally do it. Like all crazy. We have like a lot crazy Italians and Portuguese old men here, and they are like, I'm hoarding food, you know, because I lived through the fascism in the Second World War, and they just like they were the first to hoard food, and the first who get out of Venezuela. And when you ask them like, are you going to return to Italy or Portugal? They're like, no, I won't return to that hell.
I still think that right now you could take all the bolivars you have and have like fill a swimming pool and do the Scrooge McDuck thing. I really think that's actually a possibility.
Well, if you have them, because you know, it's difficult to get them, and I got rid of all of my banknotes already because they are going to be worthless this Monday.
Yeah. Ooh.
I don't know how people, just manage just like I mean the minimum wage is what now $30 a month.
Well, it isn't actually official as of today, but because of the dollar rises that happens every day, it's like I don't know, $3. It's actually $3 because now the bolivar is the dollar is 10 million all bolivares per $1 as of today. I don't know how it's going to be tomorrow because you know we have parallel dollar and the official dollar, and the official dollar was like 6 million bolivares, but the parallel, the one that everybody uses, it's 10 million bolivares as of right now. It just keeps increasing every day. I've been to the supermarket, and I've had like the clerks change the prices on my face, and I'm like, but that was like 2 million bolivares like 1 second ago, and now it's 5 million. Yes, because the dollar rises, and I'm like, what the fuck is going to happen? I don't understand.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's I really don't know what to
There,
say. I can't even
there's
imagine
kind
this.
of a misconception that many people think that we don't have food, and we don't have like toilet paper, and we have, but it's not like it's easy to find, and if you want to find it, you have to go to like extremely uh, expensive places, and when sometimes like when Petro, the guy from Colombia,
Ah,
Petro, the Colombian, he went to a supermarket on like the most exclusive place in Caracas, and took pictures and said, well, Venezuelans do have food, and I was like, okay, that's like the most expensive supermarket in Caracas. Of course you're going to find food there. And if you look at the pictures, the supposed food that was actually in the pictures is like Doritos and Ruffles and Coke. It's that food because today I went to the market, and I didn't fight chicken, and people already just took all the tomatoes that there were there, and they like fill all the shelves with Coca-Cola and ice cream. That's not food.
yeah. No. I mean, it's like this other photo op from. Remember that coming from Donald Trump, the shithole countries thing, and then Conan O'Brien went to the most exclusive resort
In Haiti, yeah.
in Haiti and took a photo. Well, that looks like a great country. Yeah, you're in the best place of that country. Maybe that
Yeah,
will
you're
look
you're
great.
I mean, it's like people when they go to like the resorts in Mexico, they're like, "Oh, look how safe it is. I'm in Cancun," and just behind you, there's a guy walking around with a submachine gun guarding your resort. I mean, I've been to some pretty bad barrios in Lima. I've been to like La Victoria, which is like essentially the hood. Um, there wasn't shoes like hanging off of a telephone pole or off the wire. There's like two cars wrapped up in wire dangling off them, like two literal cars. It's the place even the cops generally don't go unless you really have
Yeah.
to. And I had to have an escort when I went. But it was terrifying, but it is a shithole. I love Lima, but La Victoria is a shithole.
I mean, you
But I
go
got great shoes.
you go 2 blocks inside the land in Cancun, and it looks like a crime scene. I like literally a crime scene. I remember that time I went with my mother to some market in Cancun, in downtown Cancun. It's nothing like the resort area. It's the I was thinking, oh my god, I'm gonna get killed here.
No, yeah, I love it because I mean when I go anywhere and I hear like people be like, "Oh, I've been to so many exotic places. I went to Cuba."
I went to Cuba.
I actually refuse to go. I've
Yeah, me
my
too.
my parents want me to go. Wait, you've been to Cuba?
No.
Oh, no. No, I just refuse to go because like my parents are just like, why don't you go down to Cuba, enjoy yourself, get out of South America, go to the Caribbean. I'm just like, no, no, I'm
Well,
I'm not gonna go
go
to
to
I'm
like
not gonna go to
Aruba.
Venezuela.
Go to Aruba.
Yeah.
Why would you go to Cuba?
Give
Go
me
to Puerto
Trinidad.
Rico.
When I went to Cuba, it actually served me, like I it was really educational. I was, back then I was a
No.
teenager, all, like supposedly left-leaning guy, a socialist, and then I saw what's going on in Cuba. So no, 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 this thing doesn't work. It was like, okay, it was a reality check for me in the situation of people there. Of course, it's also really sad, and if I go back there sometime, I think it will be only when things get better, which I hope to see one day.
Yeah, and when you see a Cuba, then you actually realize that people just like lost all hope, and they got used to it, and so that's when I say nothing is going to change here, and if it does, it's going to take a long time.
Well,
Yes.
you're essentially gonna have to dismantle Venezuela. And I dropped my mouse. I don't know where I've dropped it.
Yeah, and I don't think that's going to happen in the short term, and like the best thing you can actually just get out, study, learn about different cultures, and if this actually resolves one day, apply what you learn outside from other more countries, and you know but when there are better opportunities, you have to take them, and
Learn from it. Yep.
one day maybe this will going to resolve. I don't know.
I hope so. I
It
remember.
has it has to. I mean, you can't keep starving and shooting your people. I mean,
Yes, I remember this. The back. I think it was 2 years ago when Fidel died, and I think
that was a good day.
yeah, Pinochet's birthday, the irony, and Black Friday also, and it and I think it was Justin Trudeau that actually wrote a really emotional tweet about bidding farewell to a great man, a hero, a fighter.
Revolutionary.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
yeah, yeah. It was really fun because people started, a hashtag called Trudeau eulogies, and people were saying, I want to express my condolences for somebody that actually make make made no that made us more aware of overpopulation issues like Genghis Khan, or uh, uh, I want to express my condolences for the man that never lost their head when everybody around him was losing him, Maximilien de Robespierre. I mean, it was hilarious.
I mean, I would think he would do a tribute for what was his name? The Habsburg King of Mexico who got shot.
Fernando Maximiliano.
Yeah, Maximilian of Mexico. Yeah, he'd probably be like, well, he was a wonderful, wonderful man with so much talent.
No. I mean, he was the worst play made by the Conservative Party back then, but because when he was brought here to rule as an emperor, he actually started publishing the laws that the Liberal Party was promoting, and said, okay, separation of church and state. Hey, that actually sounds really good. Let's try it. And he reached out to the indigenous communities of the country. People love her wife, Carlota Amalia. I mean, when she came here to be the empress, she Hispanized her name. I mean, in French, her name was Charlotte Amélie, and now here in Mexico was Carlota Amalia. And people love her a lot.
Yeah, I mean, well, generally the Habsburgs were rather well liked. Well, except in Hungary and Serbia.
Yeah. Well.
But by the way, now getting off of Venezuela, which is an episode in itself, really. I mean, I don't even think one episode could cover the insanity that is Venezuela. But what is going on with this airport thing that we were talking about?
Okay, the airport. So, this was a big week for infrastructure projects for the Mexican government. Well, one of the campaign promises from López Obrador was to discard and cancel the works for the new airport of Mexico City. I mean, imagine this city as crowded as Mexico City, over 20 million inhabitants, and an airport that can't serve that serves most of the country, and can't that it's working at an overcapacity. So they wanted to make another airport that it would be like the second biggest in the world, and this one, well, it was a really long story because the government actually had to make some land expropriations from some ejidatarios. I think last episode we were talking about the ejidos, and some ejidatarios in Atenco. Well, these were like, they resisted the government with tooth and nail. Like, they went out with torches and machetes to
Oh my god.
to avoid the land seizures, and now they're building it in the how you say, in the Texcoco Lake. They drained the lake and started building there.
So Lakes, like the ancient lake that where Tenochtitlan was, is gone now, and it's now an airport.
Yeah. I mean, this is a really big lake. If you see the maps of the Mexico City subway system, the lines go all over the lake, and Tenochtitlan is really, it was a really small compared to the lake. I mean, Hernan Cortés, when besieging Tenochtitlan, actually built a fleet of ships to harass them from the lake.
Yeah, yeah.
I know that because I played Age of Empires on Quero.
Yes.
La Noche Triste.
La
Yeah.
Noche Triste, Broken Spears.
That is a good book.
Yeah, and there was a mission in Age of Empires called that Broken Spears from
Broken
the.
Spears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually been listening to the. I've actually been reading, listening to the audiobook of Broken Spears, and it's amazing. My favorite part. I mean, I know it's slightly off topic, but I mean, I love history as we all seem to. Is where all the signs came up before, like before the Spaniards came. Like they had all these weird events. They had the woman going through the street shouting, my children, I must take you, but I don't know where we will go. And then there was the bird. Apparently they found a bird with like a crown on its head, or an orb, and then the bird disappeared, and there was giants walking around. It was fascinating to hear this stuff. I mean, and then the Aztec Empire screwed up because of their traditions, especially regarding warfare. You know, they usually waited for a formal declaration of war, but then the Spaniards were just like, no, we're just going to shoot you all. The Inca weren't so stupid, but they actually were pretty stupid too.
The problem with the Aztecs is that when the Spaniards came, they have a really a leader that was, really hesitating over the decisions he took, and he actually received the Spaniards as envoys from the gods, as the white bearded men, and all. They
riding the deer, yeah. Like the Inca were almost the same. I mean, the Inca came in, but Pizarro tried to do what Cortez did, and tried to be like, hey, look, we're gods. Hey, everyone pay attention to us. And Atahualpa, who had just won a civil war, was just like, yeah, no, I'm not trusting white guys. So he ended up, he was just going to be like, I'm going to go and surprise, I'm going to show these people that I am powerful, that I am God, essentially. And he told the Spaniards to go to Cajamarca, and he's like, look, I've got 30,000 attendants with me who are not armed. And then the Spaniards literally just took out their swords and killed everybody, and then the rest is history.
Yeah.
But so is this airport? You said it was. You said like offline it was going to be a referendum to it.
Yes, because as I said, López Obrador promised to cancel the airport and stop the works there. But now, as time went on, he decided that maybe the airport is not something that is not that bad. Well, maybe it's not. And he went, softening his position to the point that he said, canceling the airport will be really, really expensive. So we're going to submit the decision to a public consultation in my website. Yes, in his website.
He has a website.
Yeah. About what?
Amlo.com.
About what we will do with the airport. And it's and this thing, it can go sideways. I mean, he can respect the actual results of the consultation and say, the people have spoken. We the customer is always right, but or maybe alter the results of the consultation and said, the people want the airport, and all his faithful followers will, line behind him and just and stand up and be counted to, like, oh yeah, there the airport there is a viable option. The
Mm,
the option that he was, proposing was to build a terminal and two runways in Santa Lucia Air Base in near Mexico City. The problem there is that for the air traffic volume that it will get, it will actually interfere with the existing airport because of the locations. Right now, this airbase, the air traffic of this airbase doesn't interrupt with this doesn't interfere with the actual airport because they I think they only have like 6 takeoffs daily, so six fighter planes that actually take off there are not a big issue. Mm. But
we like. Sorry.
yes, yes, go on,
No, I
go on,
was
go
just
on.
gonna say, the funny thing is, speaking of him, like he said, like you can go on my website and look it up. The government of Newfoundland tried this a while back. They were talking about what does Newfoundland need to fix the economic situation? Because I mean, we're not Venezuela, not even close, but we are pretty shitty. Like I've said before, we owe like $15 billion now, and we're only 500,000 people who 50% of which are unemployed, and receiving government subsidies. So we're screwed. But the government decided to ask the internet what could be done. Do you want to know what the most popular answer was? And they actually
What?
had to respond. They said, they said a communist revolution. Like the internet literally came up, and it was the most widely posted answer to the government's problem. So they spent like 10 grand on this website, and all they got was, we want a communist revolution. And it became such a joke that the essentially our governor, the premier, had to come out and was like, listen, we really like your input, but we're not going to have a communist revolution anytime soon. So can we please have another? Can you please not put down communist revolution? So instead they just said, sell Doritos. And the government just gave up and just dismantled the website. But if you look up Newfoundland question communist revolution, it's there. I mean, the Vice did an article on it, which is not saying much.
What did he expect? And what I mean, people on the internet giving them free reign to answer a question. It's a trolling breeding ground, and also,
Go on.
yeah, for and that of the economy of Newfoundland and the airport are more technical things that should be, in my opinion, should be left to the experts. I mean, what do it? There are a lot of things to contemplate here. Um, um, the impact to the ecosystem, the 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 economic factors that play in it, legal factors. It's a lot. I mean, aeronautical factors, and I honestly I don't know anything about it. I mean, I could get down to study the legal factors and comprehend them. I'm a lawyer by training, but I'm not. I don't know anything of any of the other factors that could affect this decision. Am I going to participate in the consultation? I don't know. I really don't know. If you ask me, it's a total charade.
Well, I mean, I mean, the way I see it is that the government, if the government needs to build something, they're just going to build it either way and then make up the results. It's like,
well, the same has happened here, so probably.
Well, I mean, we've in Newfoundland, we also had another idea where we were going to it's called regionalization. So they were going to take the municipalities and combine them all into like regions. So they were essentially provinces within the province, and everyone was just like, and literally everybody said, no, this is a terrible idea. And the government said, well, listen, yes, we understand your position. We understand, and you know what? We're gonna follow the will of the people on this, and then decided to unroll it anyway and try to form it. Um, and they're still trying, but if they do it, it's going to mess up because my town is the biggest in the region, and they're the only ones who are going to get any money.
It's like, well, what happened in Colombia with the referendum for the peace referendum, that the government, I think, thought that it was a safe bet to ask the people if they want to forgive the FARC, and actually the people said no, fuck them, throw them to hell. And
yes, the same thing with Sendero Luminoso. They had a poll out in Lima. They're like, do you want Abimael Guzman to go free? And everyone was just like, no, keep him in prison. But they said, well, Fujimori's free. And somebody went online and was just like, Fujimori is an asshole, but he's not as big an asshole as Guzman. So fuck him, let him die in prison, and hi Fujimori.
Yeah. For example, speaking of peace with some belligerent factions in some country, there was another peace forum this past week here in Mexico. This time it was in Michoacán, in the land of the autodefensas.
Oh God!
Yeah, they were invited. AMLO invited this guy, the Dr. Mireles, the leader of the autodefensas, to participate, but to participate as an observer, not actually as somebody that should be listened to. And he was okay. Come on, let's forgive the hitmen.
The sicarios.
Let's forgive the sicarios, but don't forget what they did. Just forgive, but don't forget. And this guy stormed out. This guy Mireles stormed out of the place. He said to the media, these people didn't steal a bike from me. They killed my son. How can this asshole ask me to forgive these people? And
he thinks he's like Mexican Justin Trudeau. He's gonna like walk in and like everyone's gonna start hugging, like it's some kind of weird Mexican Maury.
Well, that actually happened in Colombia too with the guerrilla.
Yeah.
And some people are pleased, some other are not, and I understand how they feel. How can you forgive someone like that? It's impossible.
Yes, and many and in these two peace forums that have taken place, one in Ciudad Juárez, another in Michoacán, in one of the two of the zones with most drug cartels activity. You just can't ask the people to forgive them so easily. I mean, it's people that have committed serious crimes against many people, and that people that have been living in fear, to say the least. It's I get it. I think it's insulting for them to say,
Yeah.
you know what, forgive them. They are only prisoners of their circumstances. No, they are not. They were people aware of their decision to become a sicario for a drug cartel. There were other ways to to go to go out ahead and prosper, but they took the decision. I don't think they were left all out of choices. It's hard. Um, Honestly, I don't think this will end well. And well, if this guy actually steps down in 6 years, I don't think I think many of his work in security will be undone by the next president.
I do hope that he will actually, leave the position in like 6 years, because there's a tendency amongst politicians like him to try to, extend their periods. And when Maduro and other similar
Morales.
similar people like him congratulated AMLO when he won, I was like, that's a shitty sign. That's a really bad sign. So you Mexican people just need to be aware that, when he's grasping too much of the power, you have to take action and you have to stop it before it is too late. Before it happens, what happened here with Chavez, like 20 years ago.
Like
Yeah,
the sorry.
um, I was to
Um,
say that about that what you Deborah said right now. Yes, it was like when AMLO won that Maduro was congratulating him, Correa, Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner, Dilma Rousseff, Michelle Bachelet, Pablo Iglesias from Spain, Mélenchon from France, Jeremy Corbyn from
like
England.
like like the League of Evil, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think only Donald Trump. Well, he was like the less to the less one the one less to the left from all that chorus that was congratulating AMLO, but well, like okay, all these people, wow.
yeah, I mean, the problem I find with like Latin America, South and Central, is that they have a tendency to bring caudillos in, and the caudillos come in different forms. I mean, you can get ones like Maduro who are not really strong, just fat. Um, and then you get, say, uh, Vicente Gomez of Venezuela, or Fujimori. Latin America has a tendency to bring about caudillos, and people generally accept it because, I mean, it's what they're used to. I mean, I'm sure you can agree with me, Deborah. There
Yeah,
is there is
there's some like cult of personality, and also like I don't know if you have heard that there's like a theory that tries to like link the, you know deadbeat fathers and the lack of a paternal figure with people admirations to cadillos.
I've
And
heard that.
yeah, it's like people is brought up to and raised to, admire strong male figures. And I think it has some truth to it. And people want like the father that they never had. If you look at I don't know, at Chavez, many people look up to him like a father, like a god, like Jesus, the second coming of Jesus. And many people still do it. And and many think that that Maduro was the one who started everything and the one who started the problem. And that Chavez was like a heavenly figure. And then you see that there's like some sort of call to personality. We Latin American people love strong personalities. And some of that, it's what actually happened with Trump. Trump is like the American version of that trope, right? And it's funny because it's actually what's happening there in in United States. So, but it's more prevalent here in Latin America. Yeah.
But I mean, I can't see Donald Trump becoming, what we would all envision as a caudillo, because the Americans don't have that tendency to, elect strong men per se and keep them in power. I
No,
mean,
he's
the
more
Americans
like,
are.
yeah, he's kind of more like a populist. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's a temporary strong. He's like a temporary caudillo. That's
yeah,
it. The Americans will never let you go over your term or subvert democracy. That does not happen in the United
Of
States.
course.
and they have also like a big respect for their democratic institutions, which is like I find it really nice, really great about them. And for example, this Franklin Delano Roosevelt, he was a really loved president over there, and he reelected what, like 4 times. No, he
Yep, and he broke the rule. Well, it
no
wasn't a
well
rule then.
the amendment came after him.
Hmm.
Okay, people loved him. He elected himself 4 times, but then they said, this is not people knew that was not a healthy thing, so they decided to put a rule about it.
Yeah, and now I wish Canada would have a term limit system too, because we don't. You can be prime minister as many times as you want. You don't even have to be a citizen. Well, you have to be a citizen, but you don't have to be born here to be prime minister. You just have to be
Oh my
able to
God.
speak English and French.
Okay, that's weird because you can be in the army if you're not Canadian, but you can be prime minister. What?
You can, but here's the other thing: you don't have to be a citizen to be a police officer. You only got to be a permanent resident.
I mean, why? That's so weird.
Shortages. We apparently cannot recruit enough police officers in Canada to be police officers, so we are looking at permanent. We just said, listen, we'll open the doors. Permanent residents, please come in. You also don't have to wear the uniform correctly if you're, say, for example, like a Sikh, with the turbans and the ceremonial daggers. You can be a police officer and wear the big turban, even though it's not a part of the uniform.
Canada, it's so weird. It's so weird.
Well, I mean, I explained like how things work in Canada to like police and to my police friends in Lima, and they're just like, so you don't have to be a citizen to be a cop. I was like, yeah. And how much money do you make? You can't make that much if you're that desperate. I was like, you make like 70 grand a year starting off as a suboficial third rank, and he's just like, what? I was like, how much do you make? He's like, I make $1,200 a month, Canadian. I was like, he's like, so, and every cop was lined up like this. There's a picture I'm sure you both have seen of me lined with like all these of the Guardia de Asalto, like the assault guards, and I'm just like, and they all literally looked at me and they're like, so where do we apply?
You know that
if
you spoke like one of those a cop here, he will kill you. Oh, he's too white. He has money.
Well, there's a few of them like that in Lima, I'm sure. I just managed to meet the nice ones, so I'm quite lucky. But I mean, it in Canada, it's a weird system. Like, it's so anti-racist that it literally makes, like, I mean, it just throws. It's apparently is to be equal and welcoming in that. But I actually don't disagree with the fact that you should be a born citizen. I mean, if your parents are immigrants, okay, and you want to be president, that's fine. I mean, look at, it's a horrible example, but Pedro Kuczynski, his parents were Germans, and then through corruption and stuff, he became president. But it's a good example. I mean, your parents might not be able to be involved in the political arena in an official capacity, but you can. And because I think that if you're born somewhere else and you become a citizen, you always have some loyalty to your homeland. You always have this, unless you're like Rwanda and you left the genocide, then I mean you probably don't have too much of an attachment. But But you know what I mean. There's always going to be that thing that binds you to your home country.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't even have to be a citizen. You don't even have to. You can be a dual citizen and be prime minister too. You don't have to renounce your citizenships.
Wow.
Yeah, because we had a leader of the Socialist Party here. Well, the New Democrat Party. He's Canadian and French. And they said, "Will you give up your citizenship?" And he goes, "No." He's like, "I'm a citizen of France and a citizen of Canada," but he's like, "None of those two things don't have to go together. I'm not going to be a." I'm like, "But you've sworn loyalty to two countries, and the thing is, one of them is a monarchy, and the other one is a republic that makes you uphold the ideas of republicanism."
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a little bit of a gray area. But yeah, Canada essentially is stupid. The Americans have it a little bit smarter. You have to be born American. Or John McCain.
Well, you can actually, cheat your way into that because supposedly Maduro isn't Venezuelan. He's supposedly Colombian.
Yeah, he's Colombian, yeah.
And
I've seen the documentary.
Yeah, and there's his like birth document, whatever it's called, birth certificate. It's like a big source of controversy, and you can cheat that stuff, and Latin America and its things, or how we say here in Venezuela, Venezuela y sus playas.
Well, it's the same thing with Peru with Fujimori, though. Apparently, he was born in Japan, and then when he became president, he kind of rigged it a bit, and it was just like, look, I'm Peruvian. I just happened to be born at the Japanese embassy in Lima. Ooh, lucky me, just on time. But that's how it is. But Canada's just weird like that. I mean, I can't believe it's this hard to actually recruit police. We can't get enough police officers. We can't get enough soldiers to join the military. And both of these jobs, compared to our respective countries, pay very, very, very well. I mean, there's pensions, there's benefits. I mean, if you're a police officer here, you pretty much get free dental care, which for us is ridiculous. You get everything covered because you're a federal employee. It's the greatest job in the world, and you don't even have to walk. You just drive around in a car and throw drunks out of bars every now and then, and maybe arrest a pot dealer.
I could do that.
You actually could, because I've seen people who should not be cops be cops. I've seen one woman in Alberta. She was like a black woman, and she had dreads down to her butt. And I was speaking to a friend who was a soldier, and we were walking around because he was living there, and he just points her out. He's like, look at her. I said, yeah. He said, I could take her and disarm her in about 10 seconds. He's like, I just grab her by the hair, pull her down. He said, I got her gun. He said, and then there's a massacre. I'm like, yeah. Why can't we fix this? He's like, political correctness. But like I like even tattoos. I had a picture of I sent a picture of one of our local police, the provincial constabulary, to a friend of mine in Lima, and the first thing he points out, he goes, Ernest, does he have a tattoo? I was like, yeah. It's like, that's a no-no here. You're not allowed to show tattoos here as a police officer. He's like, if you've got a tattoo on your arm, you cover it up.
Yeah.
I was like,
here too.
Yeah, but I mean that makes sense. Here, I see guys with like sleeves, right down, like tattoo sleeves and things like that. It looks bad. They've got beards, like not long beards, but they've got facial hair. Police in Lima, I didn't see any cops with a beard. I've seen them with a mustache, and that's it. Which, I mean, it's different, but yeah, Canada's messed up. My town is kind of weird too. We're actually having some economic issues, and the news has actually been rather slow. Actually, I do have good news. I actually do have a news story. And I've shown you guys both this. I think offline there was a guy called Maxime Bernier, and he was the Minister of Defense for a while, and then there was a scandal involving a woman and some top secret documents and a biker gang, and he got kicked out as minister. But he still, for some reason, is a member of parliament. But he came up with this big, like 6-thread rant about multiculturalism and multiculturalism in Canada. And most people looked at it and they were just like, This is good. Good job, man. You're saying what we didn't want to speak. The Liberal Party sees it. They freak out. And they're like, Maxime Bernier is dangerous. He's a threat to our happy, friendly society. And they go to the opposition leader and they're like, what are you going to do about this? What will you do, Andrew Scheer? And he's just like, nothing, maybe? Should I? Because the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada is a pussy. He's like this middle of the road, everyone be friends kind of guy. He's like Leopoldo in Venezuela, but without the spine or the nice smile. Actually, no, Leopoldo doesn't have a spine, but still, mud as shit. But
I used to care about him, but then I didn't.
I lost respect for Leopoldo when I found out that the opposition parties were, what was it, the Democratic Roundtable they call themselves or something. That when they ended up collaborating with PSUV.
Exactly.
During the protests. So after that, I realized that they're all in it together, in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it's like the official opposition, and they're like trying to maintain the status quo, so they're fakes.
Yeah, well, they all are. But yeah, long story short, Bernier has reached out and he's actually got a lot of people in like they're happy to hear this, because multiculturalism in Canada in small doses is cool. I mean, I enjoy it, but too much of it is dangerous. I mean, you can't have bringing everything that isn't here, and saying that Canada, like people say Canada is a post-cultural country. Like, we don't have a culture, we don't have an identity, we are a melting pot. And the Prime Minister has actually said this. He said, Canada is a place without a culture.
That's sad.
It's stupid. It doesn't make sense, because yes, we're a combination of different cultures, but we've developed our own unique identity. And as much as I would love to have Sharia law and clap packages brought in, and female genital mutilation, nah, I'm pretty happy with maple syrup, hockey pucks, and moose. We could do some more football, but that's probably an American one.
No, it's not.
That's even worse, actually. That's like a lefty cap. That's like leftier than Canada. Deborah, you look like you got your criminal face on.
Yeah, it's like my anti-Semite face.
I'm just waiting for the doors to get kicked down now, and just people just
like,
come in.
Open down. It's the flood.
But no, it's just crazy that anyone would say that Canada doesn't have a culture, yet we have to have everyone else's. Because, I mean, if you say that anywhere else, like especially in Latin America, they'll beat you to death. You know, if you say, like, if you're a politician and you say your country's culture sucks, they're going to kill you.
You're in
Especially
for hell.
I
truth,
don't know what's with you guys, gringos and Canadians, with saying that you don't have a culture. How can you say that?
well, the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, just
Oh my
said
god.
America was never great. And everyone, like, he gave it a speech to like all these like lefties, and he's like, America was never great, and everyone's just like, holy shit.
And yeah,
awesome.
he backtracked from that comment later, but it was like, man.
You can't. You literally said America was never great.
I mean, maybe he's bored of his political career and says, fuck it.
Well, his brother does work for CNN, so he's probably something wrong with his head. But Ocasio-Cortez is still causing trouble.
Oh
somehow.
yeah.
That stupid woman. I hate her.
She sounds more Latin than you, Deborah. I'm sorry, but she does.
I know.
I see her speeches, and she goes, well, listen, everybody, we are going to stand up. We're going to do this. Because I'm like, she's like Puerto Rican Linda Sarsour. They both sound exactly the same. And
I'm
if
like
you think about it, it's true.
25% Puerto Rican. She doesn't have an excuse. My grandfather was Puerto Rican, and he taught me English. Even though my English is kind of broken, that is for marketing purposes. It's obviously for marketing purposes. Just like Sofia Guevara, she doesn't speak like that. It's all marketing.
Guevara there, you mean Che Guevara's daughter?
Sofia Guevara, the actress.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Isn't that her name? I think I'm messing up her name.
But
Eso, Vergara, whatever.
Vergara, yeah. But I'm starting to think that Linda Sarsour and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez are the same person, because you never see them in the same place together, and they also sound exactly the same. And they both have that nose. And the funny thing is that Sarsour's name in Arabic is cucaracha. It's cockroach.
Oh my god.
It's true. If you type in the Arabic name, if you type in Sarsour into Google Translate Arabic, it comes up as cockroach. And an Arab friend confirmed that it is cockroach. So if you step on a cockroach, you're stepping on a Sarsour. You're doing it, aren't you? But yes. So
yes. It's real.
It is very real. But I don't know why people are so obsessed with socialism. But the glorious thing is that Ocasio-Cortez, all the candidates she's generally supported, have all lost. They all got like the shit kicked into them in their primaries, except for like Bernie Sanders in the dress in Vermont. I mean, there's a trans woman, and they're so excited. The first trans candidate for a major political party. And then they've got the first Somalian American running for Congress in Minnesota. They've got the first this and the first that. They had the first black president, well, half black, and he was shit. So, I mean, the first everything isn't very good. I mean, Venezuela had its first real socialist government, and that's worked out quite well.
Yeah. I'm tired of hearing that Venezuela isn't like real socialism, and I said to them, well, you always say that real socialism doesn't exist, that Cuba isn't socialist, it's communist, that China, Russia, whatever, it's not real socialism, and when it works, which never works, they are like, oh yes, socialism is the best. But when it doesn't, oh no, that isn't socialism, and they fix their beliefs to their conveniences, and when they like it, it's socialism. When they don't, it isn't. So It's like when they say, European countries are socialist, and they are clearly not. And
No,
no,
Norway or Denmark had to tell Bernie Sanders to stop calling them socialist because he's just like, yeah, guys, we're not socialist. We're free market economies with significant social safety nets. There's a difference. Socialism is that little country down in South America. That whole Venezuela place. They're pretty socialist.
yeah, socialists says that
They call us socialist.
Yeah, they call themselves socialist, and Chavez said that many times. He actually wrote like a manuscript where he said all of the socialist plans he had for Venezuela, and that's when you said, well, it is a socialist country. Their government considers themselves to be it. And when they say that in socialism everything is for the workers and belongs to the workers, well, all the plans that we had here and the companies and everything, they gave the government seized them and gave them to the workers. And you know what? The workers ruined them. And
It's the Zimbabwe effect.
yeah, they say, well, most of the property of Venezuela is private, and I don't know where do they get those statistics because, first you can't believe any statistic about Venezuela because it is outdated or it was manipulated by the government. So never believe any of the statistic that they release. And the other is that where are they getting that? Because just by anecdotal evidence and by sheer of observance, you can see that clearly most of the things and the companies and everything in Venezuela is government owned, and then they gave them to the workers. So I think that happened to Kellogg's and in many other companies. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they got rid of like Barbie and everything. If I remember a while back, like essentially the regime declared war on like Barbie dolls or something like that.
Yeah, it was like in Mattel, the government said that the prices of the dolls were too high, and the children wouldn't have happy Christmas because their parents couldn't buy them the dolls and toys. So you know what they did, what every socialist country will do, just seize the plant, fire all the workers, give them the plans to the unions, in other words, to malandros and colectivos and stuff, and just give those dolls to the children in need, supposedly. And but that what actually happened was that they they forced Mattel to lower their prices at stores, and people would like you know crash into stores and buy everything, and stores couldn't restock themselves because they had to sell everything at lower prices, and most of them just go went into bankruptcy, and they had to close. Yeah, that
But I mean,
happened too with clothing stores and with shoes last year. So it's a cycle.
well, I mean, yeah, and I mean that's why I believe, who was it, Andrew Wilkow. He's an American talk show host. He said so, and I believe this. He said socialism is for the people, not the socialist. And it's true because I mean, how many of the the big members of the PSUV do you see lined up for clap? You don't see Diodazio or Maduro or Delcy lined up to get their rations.
Yeah.
You know. Then again, I wouldn't be able to find them in a lineup because if I ever go to Venezuela, I'll be picked up by Sabine and sent to La Tumba. Because I sent. But that's what happens when you send the president of Venezuela dildo.
The question is, did he actually got it?
I hope he did. I really hope
How
that he.
did you do it, by the way? How did you do it? Did you send it by mail?
I sent it by mail. I sent it by I overnighted it through Canada Post, but I wrote my address on it.
How much did you pay for that? That's like really expensive.
Like $120.
Ouch.
Well, it's not as much as the ouch that I wish Maduro got by sitting on it. So I mean, I'm pretty sure that somewhere along the line, because I have been denied entry into Venezuela, which is somewhat of an honor. I've also been blocked by him, so I'm pretty sure that if I ever show up there, I'm going to be locked up or shot. So,
well, I do hope that one day you can actually, came to Venezuela when everything is better, because it's actually a beautiful country. The food is great.
It's gorgeous. No arepas for me though. I've made my mistake eating an arepa. But
no, you have to eat like one real Venezuelan arepa made not by a food stand, but like the arepas your mother does. That kind of arepas, motherly arepas.
Well, yeah,
so I have like 0.0000001% of hope. So like you said before, we all have more or less attachment to our countries. So it's a beautiful country.
Well, I mean, you have as much hope as you have Petros.
Yeah. You couldn't say that better.
But yeah, no, I hope someday I can go. I mean, it is on my list of places to go. Once I'm off the list of people to shoot and imprison. So hopefully someday they'll knock me off that old list, and I'll be able to come on down. Until then, I'll have to hang out in Lima, which it's like Venezuela. There's a lot of Venezuelans. I hear more arepa than I hear anything else, because they got these people. They'll go around like arepa venezolano.
I don't know. I haven't gone to Lima, and I don't plan to go in the future because monetary issues.
No,
but
sometime you'll have to come on down with me and a few people. It's a pretty good place to go usually.
Yeah, I hope one day I can actually travel across America. From
Che Guevara style.
Why? Just why do you have to make that reference?
Because he did
Patagonia to Newfoundland, or I don't know which is like the farthest place in Canada. I don't know.
Newfoundland. It is us. It is us. We're the farthest easterly point.
But, oh my god.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, you come. We'll give you a jacket. We'll give you a hat. You can ride a moose. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, if I'm going to Newfoundland, at least the least thing you have to do is like eat a moose. That's
moose is delicious.
The most newfie thing ever.
Actually, no, the most newfie thing ever is to kiss a codfish.
Oh my god.
That's an actual thing. If you come here, you have to kiss a fish. They make you do it.
That's disgusting.
I don't eat fish. I'm as far as everyone's concerned, I'm allergic, and that's just the way I like it. So ceviche for me is also out of the question, which isolates me from about 90% of Peruvian events. But
well, that actually saves you from food poisoning.
That is true. But it's 11:15 here. We've been streaming for about an hour and a half almost. So I think we'll wrap it up. I just want to say, Eduardo, man, it's always great hosting this with you. I mean, this is our third one, and I mean, we're still going pretty good. Once we managed to pull Ozzy from whatever it is he's doing, damn Chileans, always up to something. Last time I checked, he was looking at some more parts of Peru and saying, I could live here. But we'll have him on next week. And Deborah, I mean, honestly, thank you for filling in for Ozzy. It's really appreciated. It's always great talking to you.
No, thank you for inviting me.
No.
Thank you for
problem.
coming.
Yeah. So is there anything you guys just want to say before we wrap it up?
Just thank you for watching and stay tuned for more.
Definitely. And,
well, just thank you for listening and send food.
Thank you.
that's
Bye.
find the Venezuelan, give them a carrot.
Yeah.
Is there any way like people can help you or something like so we can publish it?
Well, it's difficult to send food. I think it's prohibited to send food and medicine. So when I leave, I'll let you know. I'll let you know how.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, let us know when you leave and get adjusted to your new place. We'll have you on the show, and we'll see how you're adjusting to your new life and safe travels.
Hopefully, I the next time we'll speak or whatever, it's going to be in Montevideo.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So with that, guys, thank you all for tuning in to Los Tres Caballeros. We'll see you for episode 4. Good night.
Bye.